crazy bet, it would be that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers don't let the Chiefs score a touchdown. That's the prediction that
Yeah. Braden Barty trophy
dude,
all around
so.
the bay.
I think those guys might connect for like 2 touchdowns.
10 people here. Here, I'm going to switch from panelists to the attendees list and see who's here. Hey, everybody. The chat should be open. We're in new software this time, one that's going to work.
Promises,
for all of you.
Promises.
Yeah. This is not a recording. We are live. Our mulligan.
Yep, this is our official mulligan.
This is the mulligan.
Yep.
See, what I miss though, at least from the presenter view, is being able to see all of the, the chat at the same time and see.
You can just open the other window. Just open the. I have the
okay.
chat open.
There we go. There we go. There we go.
There you go.
Perfect. But we don't get to see your bark like a seal where the number goes up. You get to see how many people are.
Oh, I have that. If you click on participants, that'll open in another window too.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, look at you. Gosh, you're.
Yeah, I mean.
So smart, Rob.
I know. Hey, Heather. Hey, we're going to try to monitor both things here. Heather, welcome aboard from Indian River. I think it's probably going to be easiest for us, though, folks, if you type in the chat instead of the Q&A. So we're not having to monitor both.
We're not that smart. We can't monitor multiple things at the same time.
That's
definitely
tough.
We've proven that with our last go around.
That wasn't our fault.
Not our fault. Software.
No.
Let's make sure we've hit the record button.
It's recording.
Yes.
Cool. We do need to keep in mind we did have about 60 or 70 people who were able to make it in to the last one. So how many people?
And they might have watched. Oh no, there was no recording.
There was no recording.
No.
Not even that.
So it is. What's the date? Are we January 20 something? Is that what day we're on right now?
Just before the PGA show. So
right before the Super Bowl.
We were in the final 4 of the NFL playoffs, as you'll see in my slide. So that would have been Thursday, right before the PGA show. Thursday, January. So.
I'm going to pick the underdog. I'm going to say Tampa's going to get a 3rd straight road win in Green Bay and lock it up, and then beat the snot out of Kansas City in the Super Bowl. I don't know.
Good odds.
I have
really good odds.
I have a hunch to buy some GameStop, AMC, and Dogecoin.
Oh man, that's right. I that a little bit. Yeah. May as well buy some Bitcoin now as well, since Tesla did it.
Yes. I heard Apple's going to buy a bunch of it too.
Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
Somebody said you're not buying Bitcoin. You're moving some of your cash position over to Bitcoin. I was like, oh, sorry. Now the question is, will anybody have attended both the one that we messed up on the 21st and this one? That person will get an extra gold star.
I mean, I was debating about that this morning myself.
You're a true diehard. If that's the
case.
Yeah. Should I go?
You are a guru.
That's about the nicest thing I've been called today.
Shane Riley from Scott Lake told me that there's a drinking game involved during our webinars. So
yes,
I'm not sure what the rules are. But
wow.
There was one about
take a shot every time Rob says drill down.
Yeah, there was one whatever verbal tick we've got.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
All right, Alex Eichmann says he gets an extra gold star because he attended the
Kevin.
last one and this one.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, the gold star. Kevin Cassidy gets another gold star. You get one.
Does
Dogecoin or Dogecoin? How do you pronounce it, Ken?
I think it's Dogecoin. I'm not really sure. That's what the internet says.
What the hell are you talking about? What's a
Dogecoin?
Yeah, I have no idea.
It's some
made-up
cryptocurrency.
Oh, it's another crypto.
Yeah, but Elon Musk tweeted about it and it went skyrocketing. I made $1,000 in 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Fantastic.
The way Ben has that spelled there, I prefer to call it doggy coin.
Yeah, I like
think that's
doggy
what-
coin.
Teach
doggy
their own.
coin.
All right, let's rock and roll here. We're 1 or 2
Okay.
past the hour, so we'll get going here. So thanks for those that are attending. Our mulligan, breakfast
Doji.
ball, hit till you're happy, whatever you want to call it here. But this was our final thing for the playbook to compete and win 2021, which is our episode 6 of 6 for the Golf Tech Gurus. So with me as always, Kent Ashby from One-to-One Marketing, Rob Hoffman from Gallus Golf, the 3 gurus, as it were. And we tried to record this on January 21st. And on the 19th, the 3 of us, our spidey senses were going off that this might not be working. And we had some technical support issues, and the Webinar Ninja, which had been a great tool to that point and had really worked for the first 5, we started to get the hunch that things were going to go south. Similar to my Kansas City Chiefs, when you lost your starting right tackle and starting left tackle, my spidey sense was going off on the Super Bowl that we might not be ready to win the Super Bowl. So if you think back, and I didn't change any of the slides because I want to keep it pure and reflective of what went on there. But at that point in time, Thursday the 21st, these were the 4 teams that were left in the Final Four for the NFL. I bet you would have gotten some really good odds if you had had the Buccaneers to win it all. Probably 6-1, maybe even 9 or 10-1. At that point, for them to go into Lambeau and win, and then to win the Super Bowl. But so for those 4 teams, how did you win the Super Bowl? Or now that we know that Tampa Bay won, how did they win the Super Bowl? So this is what we had said, and it's not rocket science. You have a comprehensive strategy and game plan. Check. The Buccaneers definitely did that. The equipment for the team was 100% ready with backup. I mean, yeah, they were at home, but they were locked and loaded. Everybody was there showing up, and the right things were in place for them to take the field. The team was well trained and on the same page. Checkbox there. The GOAT, Tom Brady, showed everybody what well training is, because he's 43 and he's in the Super Bowl as the Super Bowl MVP. But that team was also on the same page. There was no doubt that the plays that they were running, there was no miscues or fumbles or anything that they had in place. High flying offense, putting up 31 points for sure. The winning Super Bowl team has had a high flying offense. They had a fundamental and aggressive defense. Double check marks there for the Bucs. They were so good on defense. They had creative special teams and unique gadget plays. I don't know if they really did anything totally creative, but they were solid. They didn't miss any field goals, didn't miss any extra points. Their special teams were an integral part of what they were doing. Halftime adjustments, I think they were kicking our butt so bad that they didn't need any halftime adjustments, but they were ready to adjust to whatever the Chiefs were going to do. They finished the game strong. It wasn't even close. They were dominating the running game. They just totally took it to the Chiefs. And they immediately want to get better and do it again. There was a story that came out of the locker room. I think one of the rookies or sophomores on the Buccaneers was laughing because Tom Brady in the locker room simply just packed up his jersey and his helmet. Like, he wasn't going nuts and running around there. He just got dressed, put on his stuff, and I think was preparing to go out and do it again and win it again. Other than maybe his day yesterday where he was, there's some video of him getting a little loose and maybe having his first sip of alcohol in 5 years. But so if we take those things, and if we're trying to win the Super Bowl here for a golf course in 2021, that's the playbook here that we want you to think about, and we're going to talk about here. Is the overall strategy is what we've been talking about for the 6 episodes or the 5 episodes to this point, is just simply one is maximize revenue, make as much money as humanly possible. And that is especially true in 2021, because you are going to take advantage of this fortuitous situation. It happened to you in 2020 and you were just kind of taking on what was coming, but now is the time to actually take advantage. You get to go back on offense here and know that this is happening at least for half or 2/3 of the year, so you're able to take advantage of that situation. The goal for us and the gurus is to extend that curve as long as possible. We're not flattening the curve here. We're extending the curve. Can we stop the golf exodus, if people are going to go back to quote unquote normal, how do we stop that for for this amount of time? We've now gotten the state of the industry from Pellucid. I think it was 3 to 5 they were predicting of just new golfers coming into the game or had been away for a long time. That's unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable that this has taken effect to the millions of golfers. This did what Golf 2020 couldn't do. And we've got to get that share of new golfers loyal to your facility. How do we maximize loyalty to your facility? And we've talked about that. It's been a common thread here over the last 5 episodes. So the equipment for the team, as it relates to the gurus, here is your tech stack. There should be a maximum investment into your tech stack. It doesn't mean spend, like a drunken sailor. It means you are going to max out the tools that you need for your facility. If you are on the fence about XYZ module or XYZ mobile app or XYZ, digital ads with Ignite, none of that stuff it can be overlooked now. It should be maximized. And not to make this a commercial, but these 3 companies are at the top of their game in terms of equipping a golf course to maximize their strategy and their game plan. We've talked about credit cards and making sure that that's all set. The tap to pay devices and pre-check-in and being able to pay from anywhere, having a mobile app, having a custom branded website, having your social media presence correct, having communication tools that are there, whether it's push notifications with Gallus or database segmentation or email marketing one-to-one, kind of all of those things make up your equipment for the team that you need in order to take the field and be successful. We've talked a little bit about the team that you should be having, if you as the head pro or GM or owner is the head coach, who's the quarterback, who's the one, on the ground, day to day making all of that happen. We've talked about having a tech person, at your facility that's able to take the lead as it relates to the technology. Your head customer service person, who's the one that's in charge of training and implementing your best practices for customer service. Who's your marketing person, and who's there to call the audibles. How do we know when things have shifted? Is it back to normal in June? Is it back to normal in August? And being able to make those audibles. For the offense, we'll talk a little bit about just outbound strategies to maximize your revenue. What are you doing to get in front of your golfers? And on the defensive side, just protecting your brand and your reputation, protecting your price point. Some of the gadget plays, things that are going to keep your golfers interested, catch them by surprise. What makes you unique? And then the halftime adjustments for 2021 is there's still just a lot of unknowns, right? So you've got to know this going in and say, all right, if this happens, I'm going to do this. If kids sports aren't back normal in the summer, I'm going to do this. So make those adjustments, and be prepared to make those adjustments now. We want to finish strong. If the demand starts to wane, if our reporting doesn't look as good September comparative or October comparative, just because of how great 2020 was, you got to keep that momentum, even if your employees are drifting off. And the ultimate goal for us in the playbook, and what we had talked about since day one in the beginning with the gurus, is what do you need to do this year to make 2022 as good? That's the challenge that's before us. It's kind of a 3-year playbook, as it were. As 2020, you just kind of got influxed with demand. 2021, you got to play offense here and prepare for that year. But I'm really looking for 2022. That to me is the make or break year, is not snapping back to all of our old habits of the past. So for me, for the equipment for the team, something that what Kent and Rob and I did, to make this presentation, is we went through all of the old slides and old deck and just tried to take all the common threads and things that we've talked about and bring them here for an easy to follow playbook. So what we had talked about for the previous 5 was, what is the right equipment? So we had talked about your pro shop might be outside, or you might be checking in golfers in the first tee, or you might be checking in golfers in the parking lot. Now that you know that's a possibility, you might want to, or you definitely need to upgrade the Wi-Fi. We know that internet's important. spend a little bit more money on a better router or better, speeds, boosters outside so that I can, cover it again if my pro shop happens to be closed down. Make sure that tech stack is updated well before your season starts. So there's 1.5 feet of snow on the ground, at least here in Chicago. So most of the Midwest and Northeast is closed down. Make sure everything's updated. Get the latest and greatest version. Make sure your backups are all good. Make sure your tech stack has backups, whether it's a iPad or an Air card. Make sure that you're able to run should something go wrong. The equipment that Club Profit uses and provides to the industry is your core T sheet, your core point of sale, your customer relationship management, and your accounting. So let's not go into 2021 guessing on any of those things. Let's make sure that they're all dialed in and set, and that you're making as many good decisions as possible. We talked about the equipment that you needed to have, that most of the people were spending money via credit card and not cash. And I think we'd had a whole thing on the death of cash. Get ready. Like, nothing's changed. In fact, people are probably more adept at it now when it comes to e-commerce and online shopping and Apple Pay. Make sure your facility is there and ready to go. We'll talk a little bit about the website and email marketing tools and the mobile app that Gallus and One-to-One provide. It's an absolute no-brainer for your facility. People are now used to all of these things. They've had a crash course in it, even if you're a golfer, that you've been forced to do things via e-commerce, whether that's ordering out or Uber Eats. So your customer base, even if they're older, they've flipped. They've had a switch flip over the last 12 months, that even the oldest generation might be using, Uber Eats and Grubhub right now. So, take advantage of that. There's automated communication tools that you should be setting up right now through both Rob and Kent with One-to-One and Gallus. So to make your season easier, the campaign pilot should be in use by every golf course in the country. If you're not, I don't know what's wrong with you. The price point's still free. The digital marketing service, as Kent had told you, that the ads are cheaper than ever before. So this is the year to be spending money with search engine marketing. You should also be up to date with your social media campaigns with the very minimum. Kent, I don't know if you would jump in. I would say at the very minimum, it's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, maybe on LinkedIn for events and outings. But I think that's just kind of table stakes for you to have a successful social marketing plan. And then to check all the boxes, that this is the year now that nothing should go unchecked, nothing should go undone, and that we should be, learning what we're doing, right? For the team, the common threads that we had over the last 5 episodes was to hire the correct staff. And the fortuitous situation the golf industry finds itself in is you actually have the money, which we've never had or haven't had since '99, but you also have an available labor pool with servers out of work, with chefs out of work, with college kids underhired. Like, there is fertile ground to hire the staff that you want now, and make sure that they're service oriented. We've talked many times about them being friendly, being coachable. We mentioned at multiple points in time, there's somebody at your facility that's in charge of junior golf, that's in charge of marketing, that's in charge of your technology. If it's not you, who is that person that's an expert in all things Gallus and One-to-One and Club Profit? That person should exist at your facility. Everything is updated from your software. There shouldn't be any gaps in hardware. You should have a backup to something. So if it's, hey, I've gotten my latest and greatest credit card devices or my latest and greatest iPads, buy one more just in case something goes wrong. But we have the money now to reinvest in your technology stack. So not only software, but hardware. Read the manual, which Rob just accused me of when it comes to Zoom, RTFM. Regardless of your providers, there should be a manual. There should be help screens. There should be videos and what's called release notes. Hey, here's what's coming up in this version, or here's what just got installed in this version. Go through all that, because it might have the features and functionality that you were missing last year to help you run better. And then test it out and run through all scenarios. So if we're going to check in the leagues outside, or we're going to do prepayment, run through all of that. Run through a fake league. test the iPad, out in the parking lot and run some credit cards. Just do all of these things now, because you didn't have time. You did not have time in 2020. It just hit you like a ton of bricks. So this is the chance now to be real intentional about what you're trying to do. And then get that calendar pushed, out. You didn't have that chance in 2020. So now you're able to do it. So for me, before I turn it over, in terms of a high-octane offense, the things that we had looked at is, I still think being able to prepay. What am I going to do to get golfers to check in, in advance, day of, 24 hours in advance, get some of that stuff going, because that still may be a requirement for your business. Oh, wait, we've got variants, going on, and we need to lock it down again. Don't be surprised. Be ready. And we know that golf can stay open, so give it a reason to stay open. We had talked about quantity restrictions, not allowing people to no-show you, or hey, I'm not going to allow a single to book on Saturday morning. You might have to put some of those things in place because of the demand that was put out there. We talked a lot about pricing, and we'll talk a little bit more about it, here in terms of dynamic pricing or whatever. But some of the basic pricing rules that we had established was, we know that there were restrictions that were put in place. We know that our food and beverage might still be limited in terms of capacity. So we need to charge more to make up for what we normally would have had in food and beverage. We know that we have higher costs of cleaning. We know we have cart rules maybe still in place, where I can only do single rider carts. We know that there are higher credit card fees, since more people are paying with credit card, or since we're processing these things as non-swipe transactions. None of this is a surprise. And so none of it is a surprise. You got to take it into your consideration set about what you're charging for your spring rates, if we even have spring rates, and what you're charging for your weekday, weekend, or even if we have weekday or weekend. But you need to have those things in place when you start thinking, well, I'll just raise my price by $1. No, this is not a normal year. We talked a little bit about, I think, did I make the decree suspending pass holder programs? I still like that decree. We might pick it up, in the summer, but people are going to golf when it's available to them. There's still not a lot that's happening out there due to COVID, kids' activities and school and work from home. So until that stops, we should suspend pass holder programs, so that you don't have guys buying a $500 pass and playing 50 rounds in a month. And then Kent had warned about last year's promotions. If you're just recycling last year's promotions, you actually might be shooting yourselves in the foot, maybe even shooting yourselves up into the kneecap or thigh area, where there's going to be even more bleeding. And maximizing the tee sheet was another offensive strategy we put out there. Ways to do, back nines only, ways to do shotguns, and programming to those different segments. Customer segmentation was, I mentioned, I think, almost in every single episode that we had done. What type of golfer are they? Are they a beginning golfer? Are they new? Are they a lapsed golfer that's competitive and good? And we mentioned over and over again that each of those customer segments have different needs. Now with new golfers, and we know that there's millions and millions of new golfers coming or here, we need to have programming in place for people that are new to golf. So what is Get Golf Ready 2? If somebody's new to golf, why would they choose your facility over the facility on the street? All of those things need to be answered, that you need to have in place, here for 21. We went over a whole session on dynamic pricing. I think that's a great offense strategy. It allowed you to fill your day parts at maximum rates and define what is a highly desired day and time slot that you never would have thought. And I think that was my key takeaway rewatching the one episode 4 or 5 with Whitey from Saddleback. Was it was his Thursdays and Fridays, earlier in the day, middle of the day, that all of a sudden were performing almost to what a weekend was performing like. So just think about those things as you build out your pricing, or if you're going to choose, are we going to do dynamic pricing, that there are operators out there that made over $1 million last year. And then for me, the high-octane offense, I think everything, at least until things are completely back to normal with restaurants. So I'm still operating at 25% capacity or 50 people per room, or whatever the rules are in your state. Or I guess if you're in Florida and it's just whatever, everybody's wide open. But everything should be programmed with to-go food in mind, everything. So stock up on, your capabilities to create a boxed food environment. So in the mornings, is it a quick breakfast? Is it a breakfast buffet that's outside? Is it a to-go breakfast? Is it a healthy to-go breakfast? Give your players some options. Same for lunch, boxed lunches with any shotgun that's coming. Hey, just tell us, here's your boxed lunch. Oh, I want turkey. And here's, I want my sandwich. Great. It'll be waiting on the cart when you get there. To-go dinners for anybody that's playing at noon or 1 or 2, and they're coming off the course between 4 and 6. Hey, here's your to-go dinner. Here's your box dinner. Here's your $75 dinner. Just throw it on the grill when you get back home and you're set. The to-go food ordering might still be in place for your facility. Family packs, to-go coolers, to-go cocktails. Everything should be packaged to go, and all of your booking and follow-up and point of sale should be pushing them into, do you want a box breakfast? Do you want a box lunch? So those are just from a tee sheet and basic, golf operations, High-Octane Offense. I think Kent had some stuff here on the website.
Yeah. So obviously I'm going to be a little bit biased. I'm a digital marketing guy, so I'm going to look at that and kind of, that's where I spend most of my time looking. And so I'm going to notice those opportunities the most. And I think if anything's kind of highlighted as an opportunity in my eyes, it's search engine demand right now for golf. There's more people searching the singular keyword golf courses near me, which we showed in the very first episode, or maybe it was the second, but then there is searching golf now back in 2015 when it was at its very highest peak. So and that's just one single keyword. So my point is that there's a demand for these near me searches like you wouldn't believe. And as a result, these are the lowest hanging fruit that I've found as far as new acquisition, because there's of two things. When they're using near me in those searches, it implies that A, they're nearby. So that obviously qualifies them to a certain degree. But then B, when they're searching near me, it's usually because they're looking to play golf now or very soon. And so as a result, those are usually quick to convert. And those people are more than likely going to book a tee time sometime in the very, very near future. And so those convert really high and are really profitable. So if you're not looking at that, or at least doing some SEO or some Google ads or something to kind of help pick up on those, I think you're leaving money on the table. And especially if you're near or in a more populated city or something, that's definitely going to be even more so for your facility there. Social ad costs are kind of seeing a similar thing, except these big brands that spend all this money on social after COVID reeled in their budgets and said, we got to tighten the belt buckle. And as a result, the click costs have gone down, and the engagement that we're seeing with any golf related content is through the roof, which has kind of created this perfect storm of that sets you up for a higher ROI than we were able to achieve before. So if you've maybe experiments with social ads like Facebook ads in the past, you should give them a try now, because the costs are about 25 to 30% of what they were even 12 months ago. So something to consider. Digital platform usage in general is just up through the roof. So although we're sitting here, we all know golf is popular, it's in vogue, and everything's good, but on digital platform usage, golf content is seeing even more success. Email open rates are up 83%, social engagement is up 65%, click-through rates on ads, website traffic is up almost or over double year over year for most golf facilities. So what does that tell you? I mean, these people are desperately looking for your news and your information, your programs. They want to know what you guys have to offer, and your digital platforms need to reflect those offerings as well.
What's crazy to me, Kent, is like, normally if things are performing better and it's working better, it costs more. So
yeah, right.
What you're saying is actually it costs a lot less and it's twice as effective as it used to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the perfect. That's why I say it's a perfect storm. Like the sport that we're selling is in vogue and people are into it. And on top of that, click costs are cheaper. So you marry the two and things are doing pretty well. So yeah. Digital platforms have kind of moved from over the last, let's call it 5-10 years. Digital platforms have become gone from the initiation or research phase of the purchase to the actual point of sale. Like people purchase things online. That's obviously a given. We've all done it, but with golf, it's becoming that way too. People are going and booking tee times online a lot more, like twice as often as they were before, or twice as likely to book online over calling, not over calling, but over last year. More and more people are booking their tee times online. Online stores are being used more and more. We came out with a new version of our online store last year, and it's been widely popular and being used a ton. Your online forms. And so what I'm getting at is, if now that it's become the point of sale, now that it's become this is an important part of the business, you need to fine tune all these funnels and make sure that people can easily book on your booking engine, and make sure that they have upsell opportunities like what Scott was mentioning. Hey, do you want a box lunch? Also, your online store needs, matter of fact, just this morning, we had a conflict between a customer's online store and a plugin that they were using, where that person at the online store was working up until the very last step where they would enter their credit card information and basically press checkout. It wasn't working. And so that's a scenario where that bug could have been there. I mean, luckily we caught it immediately, but that bug could have been there for a long, long time. And that person would never noticed unless someone actually went and tried that. So my point is, especially take out your phone and go through your booking processes, go through your online store purchases, go through your online forms, and make sure you can do it, especially on one of these, because roughly 65% of it is going to be done on a mobile device. Use Campaign Pilot. I won't brag about it too much, but it's a pretty great tool. And if you do struggle with creating like frictionless funnels for your different programs and things that you're trying to sell, I mean, try it. It's free, and it does a heck of a job. And in-person shopping is going to be hurt, so that make sure your digital merchandising reflects that. Like, make sure. Matter of fact, I was talking to somebody this morning about how you make sure all these different programs get seen and are known by all your customers all the time. And the truth is, it doesn't necessarily have to happen. Not all of them need to know about everything all the time. But in this case, I think we need to make sure that all of these programs and things that we're going to be promoting are easily accessible on our website and easily found and easily navigable. But people just overlook this. So make sure that your website and your online stores are working smoothly is basically a good way to summarize this.
Cool. Well, offense. This slide is going to come off a little bit like a blatant ad for a mobile ad, and I'm sorry that I'm not sorry for about that. I don't mean for it to be a blatant ad, but a lot of what we've been talking about, what Scott and Kent have been talking about here, is everything is pushing toward engagement, not in stores. Engagement happening in mobile devices, and I very, very strongly believe that if you don't own a piece of real estate on that mobile device, then you're missing, like Kent said about search engine and some of the other opportunities here. You're just leaving money on the table. One thing I do want to touch on really quickly that I don't really have specifically in this slide, but I know that the guys have mentioned it, and prepping your tech stack. The integrations that we have among the three of our companies are really pretty interesting and pretty compelling. On the Club Profit side, this piece here where it says Whiskey Barrel and check-in, that's we're directly integrated with Club Profit in the point of sale system for people to be able to check in and pay for their round of golf. Pretty cool in a COVID related world. When it comes to one-to-one marketing and Kent talking about Campaign Pilot, you can build your entire campaign and say, yeah, I want to send a push notification through my mobile app with this also. Even cooler, we've just launched this recently with them as an integration into their online stores, where somebody purchases something online and it automatically puts a redeemable coupon into the offer locker into that person's app, that specific individual's app. So Scott buys it online, it shows up in the app, he shows up at the course, is able to redeem it right there. So there's a lot of cool integrations that are happening. So when you're going on offense and getting all these things prepped, understanding how your technologies can work together is super important as well. Now, when it comes to the app specifically, As you're getting ready to go to market, as you're prepping for the season, as you're going on offense, understand that content's king. One of the things that we're going to get into a little bit later is adjusting a little bit later on and measuring things. You don't necessarily always know how people are going to engage. So load it in there. Let's load everything in there. Get as much in there as we can. All different variations of your course, from 18 holes to 9 holes to, if you've got little competition things going on. I've got a course in Maryland that every year for the Masters par 3 contest sets up different tee boxes that play to the same length as the par 3 holes, and build that course in your app and have people engage that way. But keep in mind, I'm not talking about just engagement when they're at the golf course. People will set their phone down on their nightstand when they go to bed as the last thing they touch, and they'll pick it up from the nightstand as the first thing they touch every day. So make sure, with golf being top of mind, that your content is there. You've got the ability for them to book a tee time very directly and very quickly, whether that's through your booking engine or even just tapping a button to make a phone call in. You've got the ability for them to go ahead and pay for their greens fee that day completely contactless before they show up, so they can go straight to the tee. You've got the ability for them to check on the super stats for the day, where your superintendent's in there every morning and he's putting in what the playing conditions are for the course, so they can see what's going on that day. Maybe they're making a decision whether they're going to walk or they're going to ride based on maintenance alerts or anything that might be going on in the course. Make sure that your F&B game is top of the, with everything being takeout or to go, as Scott and Ken have mentioned. Make sure that you're giving them that ability to order easily. You're making that path very easy. So click to order food and beverage right through your app, that they can pay for it. And then fulfillment's up to you. We've got courses that are delivering to surrounding neighborhoods, delivering on the course. That's just pickup only. Whatever you may want to do, make sure you're on top of your game there. Make sure that everybody's very well aware that you have this app and this ability to connect to your club. So make sure your collateral for them to download is everywhere. It's in your emails. There's a banner at the bottom of every email. Download our app. There's a smart banner that shows up. We've all seen these on websites. When you go to a website on your phone, there'll be a banner that's at the top that says, would you rather, access us via our app? Get one of those banners inserted through some code in your website. Make sure it's in social media. Make sure that there are posters literally around the course. There's a poster above the urinal in the locker room, everywhere that you can post it. Get them up there. And then make sure that you've got the right strategy set up to communicate with these people. Not only are they engaged in a way that they're looking for you, but they want to hear from you. I've mentioned this a number of times before. I think I mentioned it back on the 21st when we were scrambling to, were we even doing a webinar? We didn't know what we were doing for sure that day. But one of the advantages we have in golf is we're selling to a bunch of addicts. There are a number of people that are literally addicted to the sport. It's one of the greatest things about the game. You can't play enough. You can't wait to get out and play your next round. We saw the growth of that happening in a very viral way, no pun intended, in a COVID year. And sorry, that was bad in 2020. But as this happened, they want to hear from you. You've got the ability to communicate to them with them directly on their phone. You've got the ability for them to communicate directly back with you on their phone. So just keep in mind that these people want to hear from you. So set up those strategies, and then we'll talk about some defense and halftime adjustments here too.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a commercial, Rob. I think that's just like best practices to be offensive thing. So I'm glad you're sensitive to it being a commercial. But it's just, this is how you have it. It's not just buying and using a mobile app product. It's how do we win with that product? That's the whole point, right? We're gonna win.
Right.
So it's not just like put it out there and hopefully people download it. It's no, let's here's the tactics you can use to maximize it. So when it comes to defense, something that the Chiefs did not have very much of, what was the number one thing I've said, and this it does not ever change, and I don't think it will ever change, which is how do you capture database information? That to me is basic tackling, and the metaphor is just so good that if somebody comes in and swipes their card and leaves, it's just like you missed the tackle. You took a horrible angle, or you just really weren't that interested in tackling. Well, if you're not interested in tackling, you're not going to win the game. People are just going to run all over you and it's just over. Okay. You have to tackle and hold on for dear life. Like this guy did here. I can't remember. It was something Jones, I think, that tackled the guy at the 1 yard line to win the Super Bowl. You have to tackle every single person that comes into your shop and get their information. So there are things inside of the Club Profit system, I'm sure others, that can help you do that. Not just like, hey, here's where the email address goes, but you can have people, have your staff put in a PIN code whenever they put it in. That way they know, hey, this was Scott Merchant that put it in versus Kent versus Rob. You can have a staff competition. All right, you guys are all working 20 hours this week. Who can get me the most email addresses? Once you have the new customer in there, how do you then bucket them up? What is the script that you're saying? Oh, Kent, hey, is this your first time here? Yeah, I'm from Orlando. I'm just visiting my mom. She lives in Chicago. Okay, that tells me something. All right, probably not from here. I could mark down he's Florida. He's a transient golfer. He can get my emails, but it's not like he's going to be, visiting me every week. Oh, Rob, where? Oh yeah, you know what? I'm here. I've just moved in the neighborhood. I love to golf. Oh man, let me make sure. Oh, you're in the neighborhood. What's your address? What's your zip code? All right, you like to golf a bunch? Here's our programs that are going on. You have just a quick conversation with them to qualify them and segment them and bucket them up while you're sliding your card and just introducing them there to your facility. And now that we have money in the coffers, you can have proper staffing that actually improves those in-person interactions. It's not just Kent behind the counter checking in 240 golfers. He's not going to have enough time and energy to properly service and have those conversations with 240 people. Maybe he can, but it would be rare. So now you can have the proper staffing levels that hey, we're solid on Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 1 o'clock. All right. Normally I would only have two. Maybe I'll have a third person back there that just is a greeter and schmoozer and database getter. All right. Then the next basic tackling that you do once you have that person in your database is you attach the sale to the customer. If somebody comes in and wants to buy 24 balls and a shirt, the golf industry sometimes lets that person just buy the stuff and go. All right. If they're buying 24 balls and a shirt, they are different than 98% of the golfers that walk through your door. So, hey, what's your name again? Yeah, great, Kent. Hey, thanks. Are you a Titleist guy? Oh, you know what? We're doing a Titleist demo day next month. I'll make sure you get on that list. Whatever it is, so that you now are attaching that sale to that person. Loyalty programs are a big way to do it. But you have to get into that habit of who golfer 2, 3, and 4 is, getting that person's name and putting them up into the point of sale. It is long past time for us to do that. And this is the whole point of being able to extend into 2022. Rob's a new golfer. He came to my facility. He's back in the game again. Now I have his information, and now you have a chance to get that wallet share for 2022. This is just 101. This is the absolute must-have for you and your facility. For a defensive scheme, the other defensive scheme I would have besides database collection is training the consumer that nobody offers a lower price than you do. We got accused of just attacking barter. And I think if you're saying that, then you're totally missing the point, or you don't understand how the internet works here in 2021, which is if somebody offers a lower price than you are going to lose. You are losing to that model, whether that's the Groupon model, whether that's the discount for barter resale model. Like it's not an attack on the model, it's attack on the repercussions of the model.
It's too easy for people to find the lower price. You know what I mean? If there is a lower price, people will go find it. Yeah.
And you do the same thing with anything, with a pizza coupon or a TV that you're about to buy. Okay, I was going to buy it at Costco. Let me see what Best Buy has. Mm-hmm. Like they're no different. Okay, the Saturday green fee is X. Let me go see if I can find it somewhere else. Oh man, there it is, 75% off. Why would I ever go direct again? Right. But this gets to you dictating the price and the messaging to the customer. You have to be that wall of defense. That this is our price, this is why it's worth that price, and this is the message I'm going to push forward to that. So I put that last, which is you must constantly establish that value prop with your customers. Oh, well, I see you guys went up $8 because that you're going to have that person that's going to say that. When you have that, this is a chance for me to establish my value prop. And you have a script. I'm a big fan of scripts that if somebody's ever pushing back, hey, why did your prices go up $10? Hey, we've just been slammed. We've had a whole bunch of costs and we're doing some really great capital improvement projects to make our bunkers better and our carts better, and new greens mowers, and the conditions are way better than what we've had in the past. That's it. Whatever that script is, you have it. It's concise. It's way more concise than what I just laid out. And then your staff is able to parrot that back. To Google yourself, as Kent said, people are looking for courses near me, or people might be looking for your course specifically. Bid on your own keywords, claim your business, do the things that you need to do to maximize the conversion through Google. And then, if everybody around you is losing their heads and going on Groupon, it's a chance for you to work with others to reduce the reason for those discounters to exist. Do we really need to do that? And oh yeah, well, we did it last year, we did it the year before. Well, this is a different year. This is post-COVID, or mid to post-COVID. So you now need to be a leader in your marketplace with your local NGCOA or your local PGA, to talk some sense into people that are possibly degrading everybody's price point by offering.
Ultimately, too, doing those things in previous years, those should be customer acquisition models. So those should be things that you were doing in previous years to add to your customer base, that you're marketing to them directly now, that you can avoid doing them now with demand up.
Yep.
So, take what you have in your database and know that we gained these 300 people from Groupon. How do we market to them and make them a loyal customer?
Yep. Kent, for you?
Yeah. So sorry, I didn't realize you put up my slide. So
I told you I pay attention.
Anyway, so I'll go through mine quick, because I'm going to parrot a lot of what you just said. But I really think the biggest thing to consider here is, with pricing, especially if you're looking at your strategy and what to put in place for this year. I think it boils down to identifying areas where you can justify a higher price. Like maybe it is that twilight time, that 3:30 and on, that used to be kind of the slower part of the day. Now it's really busy because the guy's sneaking out of work and they're playing after work more. And now it's not as slow as it used to be. And maybe you need to bump that up $5 or a couple bucks or whatever the case is. That's a prime example of looking at your pricing and saying, you know what, that twilight rate is looking a little low considering it's in higher demand than it was before. And I think too, if you are with discounting and all these things that we're so programmed to looking at, if you are going to discount, make sure that there's a specific goal for that discount. And what I mean by that is, don't discount for discounting's sake. Don't discount because you like the way it makes you feel when 50 people like it on Facebook and redeem it. So offer a discount because there's a goal to maybe get people in the door so you can upsell them on your junior program, or you can get them on board to become part of your participate in your leagues, or whatever the case is. Make sure that there's some kind of way of funneling them into some other program, or getting them to purchase something as a result of that discount that you're handing out. And if you have plans to raise rates in 2021, take Whitey's advice and have a stiff upper lip and don't chase threatening customers. You got to make sure that you're on board with that and kind of committed to sticking by it. And obviously scripting goes in hand with that, I think, with addressing it in a nice, kind, friendly way rather than being combative. I think when people say, I don't like dynamic pricing or whatever the case is because I don't want to have those hard conversations, I think there's ways you can have those conversations without them being too hard, but I sympathize with that. Keep your regulars from feeling like they're being displaced with loyalty programs and reward programs. I'm sensitive to this a little bit because I know that there's those guys that play all the time at their certain golf courses, and they are going to feel that $5 increase in twilight rate was a direct move to hurt them. You know what I mean? There's going to be those people, but you need to have scripting, like what Scott was saying, to be able to accommodate those people. But obviously these loyalty programs and reward programs are good ways to be able to say, hey, yeah, that rate did go up, but if you're part of this program, if you play more than 5 rounds a month, you get XYZ off XYZ. And anyway, you can kind of make them feel like they're still getting a deal by being a loyal member there. And then some clubs are going to do exactly what they've always done. and they're going to be exactly where they were before. And I think 2021 is going to be a good season for a lot of clubs, regardless if they do a lot or a little, but it's going to be the difference maker, and who makes, you know, who makes significantly more money and grows new programs that'll be, profitable for years to come, or the guy that just has a good year because golf was in high demand. And then when demand starts to go the other way, he's going to be right back to where it was. So use this as an opportunity to grow your programs and get to new places, new avenues.
Cool. So this might come off as a blatant ad, but no,
Again with the blatant ads. Come on.
well, I'm in marketing. That's what I do. Defense. So you've got them now. You've got this base of people now. What are we going to do to hang on to them? One thing that I know has stuck a little bit, because my friend at Ansel Hoffman, Kevin Cassidy, has said that he's repeated the recognition is the new discount saying that I've put out there a little bit this year. When I say that, I think recognition can even be paired with raising prices to what some of you guys are talking about. Recognition can be people paying for access, paying to become a VIP. Scott talked about throw out the old summer pass programs, but maybe the new summer pass program is a little bit of a tier above what a greens fee rate is. If your rate is, just for numbers' sakes, $50 a round of golf, and you want to put 10 rounds out there, but you want to do this for a VIP program, maybe this is a $550 program where you're getting an extra, you're getting an extra $5 a round out of this from them, because they get 2 weeks advance in your booking engine. They get, maybe they get a locked in tee time throughout the course of the season that, they've got that. Scott, what did we call it? You had a term for it, that they owned a tee time throughout a whole year.
Permanent tee times.
Permanent tee times. There are a lot of those things that I think you should think about when you're going on defense. But when it comes to utilizing the piece of technology that I represent, you need to make sure you're communicating. Make sure that everybody's getting a relevant message from you at least once per week, if not more. When you're communicating, give them the ability to interact. It's like I go nuts when I see emails that advertise something, but then don't give there's no call to action. There's nothing in there that tells people, like, how do we convert? How do we become a customer of yours? So make sure that when you set up a push notification, that it's going where you want them to go to drive that activity. Even if it's an informational notification, make sure it's taking them to a page in your app that is sharing the information in a little bit more detail. I was just talking about recognition is a new discount. Be very targeted, offer rewards, offer different levels of recognition. You're going to be able to drive loyalty by getting people to feel like they're special when they're playing at your course versus when they're playing another course. And they do have choices as to where they're going to go play. So make sure you narrow their choices by making them feel better, different, more accepted, more important at your facility. And you can do that through different programs by utilizing the technology. Create a reason for them to go play at your course. Have gaming and competition be a part of it. In our apps right now, I don't know how many of you know this, but there's a month-long competition that's built in there that all golfer has to do is keep score, and they're automatically in it. And it's segmented to your course for your app, and then it also has worldwide in your app. So every time a golfer keeps score, they're either playing in a best ball game, improving their own best ball scorecard with each round they play, or a modified Stableford game that they're adding points on with each round they play. Courses that have been successful with this to drive loyalty are supplying some kind of prizes. Maybe it's a hot dog and a Coke next month. If you're the winner this month, every time you come out and play next month, every round you get a hot dog and a Coke when you come out and play. Maybe it's maybe it is, some stale merchandise. It's a hat, a towel, whatever you have in the shop that you need to move and you need to get rid of. Any kind of recognition that's some kind of a prize by them participating and playing is going to help you drive loyalty. It's built in. It's built into the technology. Utilize the technology to do these things for you. And then also communicate with them by asking them, how are you doing? You should learn from your customers, not just who they are, where they live, what their blood type is, all those things that Scott was getting, but also find out, how they enjoyed their time with you. Ask them, what do we do right? What do we do wrong? How can we be better? Learn from them. They're going to be willing to tell, a lot of them are going to be willing to tell you. And then for events, for your tournaments, Hopefully we're able to start having some shotguns and doing a lot more things this year than what we were last year. Make sure you hype up some of the live scoring. You get people interacting. You're going to be able to separate your facility from others by the experience they have when they're there, and utilizing technology to enhance that experience is only going to help you, and is only going to create a little bit of that higher level of recognition and loyalty for your facility.
And move along here to special teams. For me, I look at special teams and something that the industry needs to do just a little better job on is what makes your facility stand out, to identify, define, and communicate out your brand. And a lot of times a golf course will say, well, we're a $50 golf course in, the northern part of Chicago. Like, you just told me what you charge and where you're located. That's not a brand, right? A brand is not, your exact dollar green fee and a geotag, right? So why are people here? What makes you different than the other golf course down the street? What are you building? What's new at the facility? You got to constantly innovate those things and script it out, right? And this is what you would tell, anybody at the facility. They need to be able to communicate, here's why somebody chooses us, and here's what we've got going, into the future. I like some of the ideas that I've always had, kind of in our software, as well as, most, if not all of the POS providers can do some sort of rewards program. Yeah, you can earn, money back, but I like to have some sort of leaderboard, like Rob had his live leaderboard for the month. I would have a leaderboard for the year of, here's my top spenders, right? And my top 100 get a special day at the facility, or my top 12 go to a great trip, down the street to a high-end club, or, somewhere out of town. Like, put some of those things into place to have your top guys and gals choose your facility, and keep that wheel spinning. In Club Profit, we have the ability to auction tee times, so you could say, hey, listen, I'm never sold out. A time is always available. You just have to outbid whoever else is sitting on it, And so, to me, kind of like demand-based pricing, it's another chance for the market to define how much somebody's willing to, to pay for a tee time at your facility. And right now, I think the market, you'd be surprised, I think, at what the desperation that people have to get a tee time on Saturday morning. And so they say, listen, we max it out at $80. Why would you max it out at $80? There's some guy that, has a special occasion, has clients in town, his dad's arrived. He might overpay by double, to play golf on a Saturday morning. So don't let the insane, price point stop you from somebody paying you way more than what you thought. Credit card surcharging, I think we might do what we decided, I think, was we might do a specific guru episode there just on credit card surcharging and what that technology is going to exist, what the traps are. The early, kind of pitch that we've been told is this, passing on the fees to the customer is what surcharging is, has the ability to cut your credit card fees and your statement fees by 60 to 80%. And for a golf course that's seen that, expense rise and then rise again big time in 2020 because of the volume and the amount of people that are paying with credit card, this might be a no-brainer to help, to help get the bottom line going. And maybe you're not going to be the first to do it. We had some people in the chat when we mentioned it the first time saying it was no problem. So I think we might, look for that here in the future. I think a no-brainer too for these new golfers that are coming in. I know we're on the world handicap system and we've got all these different things that are happening. One thing that is just absolutely should happen is the first year of their handicap should just be free. If somebody's a new golfer and you're wanting them in the facility, one of the best things that our sport has going for it is you could go play Tiger Woods right now in a competitive match. And the reason that's available is because of the handicap system. So if this is one of the things that makes us unique and people are able to play until they're 80, 90, 100 years old, like, we need to promote that and get them that first hit of crack cocaine for free so that they're now used to getting a handicap. And now I can compete against Kent and it's really great. Like, what are we talking about here? $5, $10 for somebody to get a free handicap? Let's go. And minority golfer growth, I'd written a blog post, and had highlighted this for golf's, excellence in certain things. This is just one where we were getting like a solid F. And to me, it's the difference between inclusion versus invitation. If it's invitation, yeah, come on out. But if it's inclusion and you're really trying to include, women, minorities, juniors, people that just don't look like the majority of golfers that are out there, you've got to come up with something more to include them in your events. The hand has to be extended all the way out and bringing them in for a hug. And that to me is mentorship from other golfers at your facility, getting them into the Kent Ashby fun drinking event that we do every week. Whatever it is, we have to really do a better job of circling the wagons here. And to me, that's every facility needs to be thinking about that and doing that and proactive. And even if it's starts with 2 people and then it's 10 people and it's 50 people, shit, that's 50 people more than we had, in the 100 years previous to, for us running this golf course. So, and I think too, the inter-club competition is something that's underutilized. Junior golf has kind of been the first to do it. Sometimes private clubs do it, but I don't see any reason why run-of-the-mill public, high-end public, low-end public, private, juniors could all have inter-club competitions going on with their competitors in the area. Ryder Cup style events or just beginning golfer events. Hey, our beginning golfer team is going to go over to another golf course and we're going to have a little lunch and nine over there. Like anything that we can do to spur the social and competition aspect of our sport, we need to be on it. So put those things up there on your calendar and on your marketing events and build those things out. And as Rob said, a monthly digital competition, how are you doing against others? I think that's just a no-brainer. So I put that on mine, Rob. I really love that idea.
Yeah. And for me, I think, it's in line with what you're saying, Scott, but to me, it just all boils down to is not every golfer has the same preferences or even similar. Like you're saying, like, I mean, do you want to join my league, which is, we start each hole with shotgun and a beer, or do you want to join Scott's league where we all, handshake and do algebra before? I don't know. I'm not sure, but anyway, what I'm getting at is you've got you've got the new casual. This is an oversimplification, but you've got the new casual golfer and you've got the golf enthusiast, and they kind of clash. You've got like the guy that wants pace of play and wants a prime tee time and wants good conditions, and then you got the guy that probably does, probably doesn't fix his divots, or at least he should, but maybe his blood alcohol levels too high or whatever the case. But these are two different people, and the new golfers especially, they're intimidated. They need to be coddled and comforted and invited and included into everything as well. So these are all different groups of people that need different programming to be able to feel comfortable at your facility. And so the operators that do it well are the ones that marry all of these groups and have programs for all these people and know that they're identifying these people and creating programs for them. And so I think just kind of like what Scott was saying about the Get Golf Ready 2s, offer affordable purpose-built programs for beginners. I think that's a given. And I say affordable because if you talk to the clubs that do this well, they're not looking to necessarily make a bunch of money off their beginner programs. They're looking at getting beginners there so that they can plug them into leagues and tournaments and food and beverage offerings and junior camps and all these other things. So, these beginner programs are much more than what they seem like at face value. They actually, make other parts of the business prosper long-term too. Non-handicap scrambles and virtual tournaments. I'll just keep saying this one because I think they're amazing and they've worked really well for my clients. But non-handicap scrambles, what I'm really saying when I say those is really fun. No handicap required. Sign up with your buddies, big prizes, just all based on fun. And so when I'm talking about programming to the casual golfer, that's really what I mean with these tournaments. And virtual tournaments, I'm sure Rob could talk a little bit more about it, but you can have with an app, with the Gallus app, you could have a virtual tournament where people don't necessarily have to be at your club at a certain time or day, but could participate in that tournament over the course of a set period of time. So that could be a cool way to, during COVID or maybe even, I think even after COVID, this is just a cool way to compete in a golf event without actually having to be at the same place at the same time as other people. Junior golf is quickly growing. I mean, it's crazy how fast this is growing for some clubs. And some clubs are doing a really great job of taking advantage of that and creating programs quickly and getting things out there. Some clubs have already had those in place, so they didn't have to do too much to kind of accommodate that. They're just taking advantage of the higher demand. But then you've got the clubs that are kind of sitting around and don't have much of a junior program. Uh, I think that's okay, because I don't know that every club could have a junior program in each market, but the ones that are having a really strong or putting together a good, strong junior program with junior camps, I think are going to see a really big lift in attendance come summer 2021 when those start picking up.
Yeah, and again, for me too, that's all about 2022 as well.
Yeah, that too, right?
As we got to be thinking more than just the COVID dividend, as the Palooza guys like to call it. We've got to be thinking, harvesting these guys, 1 to 5 years from now.
Right.
So this is not a blatant ad. This is a little bit of operations talk here, actually. With all of this technology working together, kind of the history of technology is, robots in factories or whatever it is. Employ technology to do the job that people did in the past better than they can do it at a cheaper rate. I mean, that's why people have utilized technology historically. You're going to be able to do this. Now, am I saying replace your staff, get rid of your staff? I'm not saying either of those. I'm saying make sure you've got the best people on your team, like Scott was talking about earlier, because now with this technology in place, with people being able to pay for their greens fee from home or from the parking lot of the course when they get there, that staff member that has been dealing with those line of people at the desk in the shop doesn't have to do that anymore, doesn't have to worry about it. Plus, the technology is doing a better job. It's capturing all of the data of those customers. So you're going to have it all and be able to market in a much smarter way. But all of those old questions, damn it, Jimmy, you forgot to ask him if he wanted fries and a milkshake with his burger. All those things that always used to get drilled into staff. Why are we not doing this? Why are we not doing this? This is the year now, get technology employed, that your special teams, it's your team. They're able to ask all those questions. They're able to provide that recognition for your customers. They're able to create a better relationship, a better experience. Everything's able to be better at your club overall because of the relationships your staff's able to build with your people when they come in. They're able to talk to them about the virtual tournament that's going on. They're able to talk to them about different programs we're running. They're able to find out, you've got a couple kids at home. Did you know about our junior camps this summer? They're able to have all those conversations, and they can't hang their hat on the excuse of there were too many people in line at the desk to check in and pay their greens fee anymore. That's out the window if you're employing the technology the right way. So utilize your staff properly to create relationships that technology just can't create through conversation and treating them well.
Love it. Love it. So for halftime adjustments, I guess I'll show Bill Belichick, who was in the news this week for, not having Tom Brady anymore. But, one of my favorite things he said was when they asked him about halftime adjustments, he was like, in his own way, he was like, oh, that's ridiculous. He's like, why would you wait until halftime? The first series is you see what they're going to do, so you better just start dealing with it, right? And so there are a variety of outcomes that you as a golf course owner and operator need to start dealing with today, right? So status quo, there's going to be these things in effect, and we're going to have some sort of limited food and beverage, and the events are limited. Okay, we move away and things get better. Okay, so my restaurant starts to get open now. What does that mean for me? I can start to do events now. What does that mean for me? I can do 100-player shotguns, but they have to be 6 feet apart. Like, just fill in your own blanks about how this starts to get better all the way up until full vaccine, and we can just, take the lid off and everybody's, hugging everybody and there's no problems. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, think about, okay, what if things go the other way? So just run the worst scenario in your head and say, oh man, these new variants are even worse and the vaccine doesn't work against them. And now we're going backwards in terms of what we're allowed to do. Okay. So now can golf still stay open? And what do I need to do? And I need to have a virtualized pro shop, and I need to have everybody checking in. Like, go to both ends of the spectrum. And then your facility now has a plan in place for, those 5 different parts of the spectrum. Current, a little bit better, all the way great. Current, a little bit worse, all the way worse. And be able to snap to those quickly, right? And I know it's not good to think about the bad, and I only want to think about the good, but just be prepared to go back and forth based off of what the government's going to tell you that you have to do. And then you're monitoring that return to normal, and none of this is going to catch you by surprise, right? So, what does our F&B look like? Our kids' activities back. What are these kind of bellwether events that are happening to tell you how to then react and start to build up tournaments again and build up social events again? And then also your pricing then reflects that demand. The demand-based pricing, the best part about it is it can predict that based off of a variety of factors, weather, competition, historical utilization, and it just starts to move that price up or down, hopefully more up, that's reflective of that demand. So just be nimble. Like, you get a pass last year because we just didn't know what was going to happen. There is no pass this year. You've got your slider, and you've got your ability now to adjust based off of the situation that's presenting yourself.
Yeah, and the conversation I have with a lot of people is like, I don't want to go crazy with my rates because what happens when things go back to normal? I don't, and I don't know. There's arguments to be made about, changing your prices all the time, and I've heard them, but I really think that if you do aggressively raise your rates, or maybe not even aggressively, but, significantly, you can go back. I mean, like Scott said, we have the slider now. You can drop them back down. It's all based off demand. That's what dynamic pricing is doing, in an automated fashion, but you can do that manually too. And I think we probably should just commit to, hey, we're at some point this year, we might have to relook at our rates, and maybe you put that on the calendar now, like every quarter or every week, you should probably take a look and see what's going on with current events and see how that might affect your offerings and your rates. Dynamic pricing, I think it's a good time to try it. I don't necessarily advocate for or against it. I don't have any skin in the game, but I have enough clients that have told me their experiences with it, and they've been good. And so it's hard to ignore for so long, right? And so there's a lot of clubs I know that are on the fence. I think now, if any time, I think now is a good time to experiment with that and try it. If we're talking halftime adjustments, we obviously have to talk about the vaccine and what that means for the banquets and banquet halls and restaurants, like Scott was talking about. And we're going to need to be willing and able to just, as soon as that news comes out, just flip the switch and get running on the food and beverage side, because if it's like anything else, I doubt if we have a ton of warning before your local municipality says, yep, oh yeah, open them back up. I doubt if they do that. From what I understand, things just kind of change off the cuff. So just be willing, and kind of, if that's a big part of your business, maybe you do need to kind of anticipate that and get ready for it from a staffing standpoint and stuff beforehand.
Halftime adjustments. I mean, these guys are kind of hitting on it, but I would recommend just putting it in your calendar. Take an hour in each month where you sit down and you have some kind of analytics charts. If you haven't looked into it and you want to schedule some time with me, I can help you set something up. We utilize a tool from Google. It's Google Data Studio that allows us to import data from a lot of different places and look at it in one dashboard. Some of it can be automated coming in there. So it can be Google Analytics for your website and a few of the key performance indicators, the KPIs that you're interested in seeing can be in this dashboard. Some of your apps metrics, we're building out these great metrics dashboards that are going to be coming out this year. We can pull some of that data in and put it there, but get your data in one place, and once a month, sit down and look at it. And you can't effectively manage something unless you're measuring what's going on. The technology is going to do quite a bit for you. Dynamic pricing is going to help make sure that you're getting the right price in front of people all the time. But if you're not measuring things properly, there's no way for you to manage it. So if there's any one thing that I advocate through all this, and I think the guys touched on it some, so I'm really just kind of repeating here, but make sure that you're managing. And one thing that we've not really mentioned throughout this, sorry, my office phone's ringing, the beauty of working from home here. One thing I've not really mentioned through this, and I don't think we have, is our teams. I mean, lean on our teams, reach out to us, read the manual. Yeah. Look at these reports and do all these things, but reach out to us outside of these webinars and our teams, outside of this to have conversations about these things too. We're more than happy to sit around and talk shop with you for 3 minutes every now and then, as much time as it takes that you guys need. We're happy to work with you guys to build out the right process to make sure you're doing this.
Ken, I think this one's yours here on wrapping it up.
Sorry.
Yeah. Rob's very generous with his 3 minutes.
Most golf courses are going to be busy.
I almost made a comment about my wife in 3 minutes, but we won't go there in this webinar.
No.
So move along. Ken, your slide.
So most golf courses are going to be busy in 2021. I think there's some built-in equity, and going into this year, golf courses are going to be busy. The question is, how high do you want to run up the score? And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about ways to run up the score. We're talking about ways to do things like what the Bucks did to the Chiefs.
Oh man, brutal.
No,
Brutal.
but and I think what that boils down to is I think programming is what's going to, rounds of golf this year are going to be high, but I think it's the leagues, it's the junior program, it's all these other programs that I think can be greatly impacted, and you can have these programs for years to come and lean on for years to come that generate revenue up and above and beyond what you make just selling tee times and carts. 2021 is going to be a great time to just experiment. I have a lot of people calling me saying, hey, I've had this idea sitting in my head for the last 2 years, and I've kind of just been sitting on it. I'd like to put it in play. And I think that's smart. I think this is I think things that maybe weren't going to be viable options a few years ago could actually be viable, and matter of fact, even popular this year, just because there's so much demand and things have changed. Just based off engagement rates alone, I think it's safe to say your customers are eagerly waiting to hear from you. Send your email. I was just talking to a course not long ago, and they said that they email their email list once a month because they feel a higher cadence than that will bother their database, which is ridiculous. It's not founded on anything. And matter of fact, the open rates and engagement rates that we're seeing via email and social tell me the opposite. Tell me that you're not sending enough. These people open your emails at record high open rates. What makes you think they don't want to hear from you?
Kent, you and I have had this conversation too, Kent. If they opt out, bye-bye.
Yeah, good
Don't
riddance.
let it concern you so much. People that are opting out are people that are not engaging with your email campaigns anyway.
Right.
Don't let it bother you so much.
Absolutely. And make search engines and social media work for you. We talked about why those are so hot right now, but I really do think we need to take the playbook out of the tee time aggregators, but take the strategy out of their playbook and put it to work for ourselves. This is what they do. Why aren't we doing it for ourselves? And I think we need to steal that strategy from them and be ready to fire up the grills and get the venue and hire staff and whatever it takes at a moment's notice for when for when COVID goes away and we can do those types of things. I know a lot of venues across the country right now are starting to gear up and fire up their promotions because the brides booking now are booking for late 21 and 22. So keep that in mind. What you're advertising now for your banquet hall might not be actually scheduled for quite some time.
And look at maybe others too. Like I think Las Vegas overall is another kind of canary in the coal mine. They've got people that are looking at the stats and the vaccination numbers and herd immunity, because their entire world depends on people coming out there to entertain. So if you start to see, people are looking at Vegas or some other destination, there's smart people there that are like, hey, we know that in July or August, things are going to start going back. So I'd say too, well, when do I know to fire up the grills and get my venue back open? Look at some of those other people. I'll throw not the state of Florida, Kent, because I know you guys might open. And
we're not a good benchmark.
Yeah, that was 6 months ago. Open. What do you mean? We're open 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know that we've touched on a lot of content here, so I'm not going to kind of dig back in and rehash a lot of that. But one thing that I have seen happen to, really high success rates is to this time of year is the time to begin implementing all these things we're talking about. Spend the time now when you don't have a lot of golfers on your golf course, and put in the time now, because once you've done that with the right technology in place and the right pieces moving for you, it really starts spinning like a top. I mean, I'll kind of put Kent and Scott on the spot here and get your answers on this, but I know that, and it's probably more on a booking engine and T sheet, the actual management of it, not managing from an operations level of customer management there, but just managing it to make sure everything's set the right way, or your website or your SEO or your SEM. In the app, our most successful operators are spending maybe 15 to at the top 30 minutes a week. I mean, and I don't think it's a huge ask that once you've built it out the right way. I mean, I can't imagine on a website that I know on ours, we check it. We once a week, we review the content of it. We spend a few minutes and that's it. If there's anything that needs attention, we get attention to it, but it's not a big ask of time after everything's set the right way. I mean, I'm curious to hear, like I said, I'm kind of putting Kent and Scott on the spot here, but I'm curious to hear what your take is on managing these things in the heat of the season when you've got a lot of golfers there. Is it a big ask in time or involvement from them?
It's usually not a big ask from the golf pro or whoever's doing the changes end, but I'll be honest with you. I mean, that's why our support team exists
Right.
is when the
Right.
golf pro is scrambling and he's got 5 things on his plate to
Right.
do that morning. He can just fire off an email and say, hey, can you guys take a look at this for me? And so there's something to be said about that, and being able to do that. But also, I mean, we try to make our stuff as easily self-editable, DIY as we can, but
Right.
we also make it easy for anyone to just get a hold of us and we'll do
Well,
it for 'em.
I think too, the way I would answer that is the way you see all the technology from all 3 of our companies is anything we can try to automate and get you the gift of time. That's really what we want to do. So automating email marketing and digital campaigns with one-to-one and with Ignite, and just automating your SEM buy, or with Gallus and automating your push notifications. And for us, it's how do we automate the reporting and the nuts and bolts of it, and getting reports to people. How do you automate dynamic pricing with our capacity pricing tools that just automatically adjust stuff up? So we're constantly looking at that. For us to try, for you, Rob, I like to try, rinse, repeat. That the challenge here, at least for a lot of golf courses in the Midwest and Northeast and Pacific Northwest, is try that stuff out now.
Right.
Because when the gun goes off and it's April and May, you're not like, let me try this out and rinse it and repeat it. It's like,
Right.
no, that's the time for things to start happening, not for you to mess with it. But so for me, as we're kind of really pushing up on our time here, for me to finish that game, how do we know we're winning? And the Chiefs knew the entire time that they were not winning, because the score was indicative of that. So I really jinxed it here, 3 weeks ago, by putting my guy Mahomes just sit there like, we're going to win this game. All right, so how do I know that we're going to win? So if somebody says, oh yeah, well, we were up over last year, and that's how I know we're winning, like, you are looking at the business wrong, and that you're getting a D+ for how you're running the business. You're just looking at it as your comparative for the last year. So the basics is how's my revenue? Is it up? Is it up? Is it beating our 3-year average? Are we beating our 10-year average? How does weather factor in? Using the guys at Pellucid and their weather logic system. How many new customers have been created? How many new email addresses have you gotten in the system? What's the performance across your different quintiles of customers, your lowest, fifth, your second, third, fourth, and your top tiers? How many more core customers do you have? And how do you define a core customer? Somebody that sees me once a month. Okay, that's a number and a metric that I'm trying to get to. And if I have 1,000, I'm trying to get to 1,500. If I have 1,500, I'm trying to get to 2,000. How many direct customers do you have? Meaning, if you are using a third party, how many can I get off of that onto my own direct channel? Overall internet reservations, you should be looking at that trend and always trying to get that up to the 70, 80, 90% of my reservations are coming through the internet. For Kent and those guys, I'm sure they're always looking at the email open rate, my social events, my participation, my diversity, the age of my average customer. So if I'm collecting birthdays, I'm constantly trying to get my age going down, not going up. And then overall, obviously, just higher RevPAT, which is revenue per available tee time. These are some of the metrics that you should be looking at, not just what are my sales for the day? Am I covering my costs? Am I making more than last year? Like, we got to get a little bit smarter in terms of what are the overall metrics to know that this is a successful business, and we're actually winning the game. Um, for a football team, they're always scouting talent for next season, so that's what I would do if I were you. I would be looking at your staff. We've told you to bring in some new staff. Which new staff are like, they're going to be all pro or they're going to be an all-star? And now, okay, I'm definitely keeping that person. They were on an hourly plus. Maybe I'm moving them into full-time because they're doing a great job at helping me market or run my junior programs, et cetera. And then drafting new players. We need to get our existing golfers to recommend us to their friends. So if they are, oh, we were over at another place, but this place is better. Oh, I've got another buddy, but he's getting back into the game. We'll bring him here. Here's what we've got. So that's the thing where you're looking to use your golfers as a recommendation engine to get you some new blood. And maybe, hey, everybody you bring that's new that we don't have, I'll give you a sleeve of your favorite golf balls. And overall, the NFL and the NBA, yeah, the Chiefs are competing with the Buccaneers, but there's also an element where they're trying to get ratings for the league. And I think that's what we need to be looking at here across the industry is, we need to start building a great relationship with the other teams in our area, with the other courses in our area, because it's better for the league, better for the golf industry overall. How do we, hey, these new golfers, we're going to make a social thing where they're playing against new golfers from another golf course. So work with other courses in your area to do what's best for the industry. And the best teams are always trying to improve their team facilities. Whitey's, great story was, he was filling up his CapEx budget. He was spending on things that he had deferred for years and years. And what he said was he's becoming the facility he always wanted to be. And then you get to, push that out to your customers. Here's all the great things that we're doing. Here's why there's excitement and reason to be here. And the turf and field and conditions obviously is part of that. And we have to finish this game strong. New golfers, lapsed golfers, those are the two segments that we just need to be focusing on. The core golfers, yeah, they're going to still be there. They're playing 40, 50, 60 rounds a year. Even if things go back to quote, whatever it used to be, they're back. They're still addicted to the game 20, 30, 40 rounds a year. The new golfer and the lapsed golfer, how do we get them to stick and get them invested into 2022? So that's the challenge. And if you implement all these things and segment them, you need to program up against that. And how many newer lapsed golfers can I get into 2022? So, whew, okay. So what we said was, who needs a drink? I certainly do. I think what we had talked about was trying to keep this momentum going on the gurus. Probably on a monthly or bi-monthly basis, try to come up with topics that we think are good. We're going to be sending out a survey to anybody that's attended any of them. And what do you want to see us cover? Current events, news of the day, 20 other topics, bringing on guests or not guests. One of the things we'll definitely be looking at, I think we had talked about the credit card surcharging. Rob had a great idea, which was we're going to try to help, on each one that we do, just an overall, what is the temperature that's going on? Do we see things getting better? And maybe using our stats and using, Kent's, crystal ball through Google, say, all right, are things getting better? Are people looking for wedding venues and looking for get-togethers and travel stuff? And then maybe we can help you take the temperature of what's happening. And I think that might be a good way to use the power of the gurus. And then just anything else that you want to cover and dissect into, and we'll try to help you expand on that playbook. So
yeah, and if you have any ideas now, put them in the chat. I'd be interested to look at them up. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. But we really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch these and to chat and to talk with us offline. This has been a challenging year, to say the least. It's been a great year in terms of the challenge has brought us more. So it's always better to deal with more than dealing with less. But now you get to answer that challenge the way you want to answer that challenge. Now you can prepare for what March and April and May are going to be and set the tone. And then try to drag this thing out as much as we can. But we just appreciate everybody coming, because we expected, I think the initial thing was, can Webinar Ninja handle like 50 or 60 people? And so we've had episodes where a few hundred were coming in. So we really appreciate you guys doing that. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys on a future episode of of the golf industry guru.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody. The turnout's
Very
been
much.
amazing, and all the comments have been great. Thanks for attending. I appreciate it.
Let's see here in the chat here. Before
George,
sign
why don't
off,
we just
guys.
each type in email address here for George?
Yeah.
George, that's probably the best way for me. Just straight to my email address. I'm sure Scott and Kent are the same.
And I'll
Yep.
give you Rob's cell phone number and
Please do.
you know, his personal Zoom account so you can
867-5309. Ask for Jenny.
And Praveen
So-
says thanks. I keep your ear to the ground. What's the smart pin stampede? I don't know what that is.
That's golf course near you. All those little pins on the courses.
Oh, see.
I don't know.
There we go.
I'm making that up.
Okay.
So
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see
All
you
right.
Thanks,
in
everybody.
future episodes.
Yeah, have a good one.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.